yo, it's your boy Ancient Albatross here again with the Cypher Unlimited crew. We have the usual suspect of Spigs18 or Anthony. And just as a quick reminder, if you haven't already, be sure to follow us here on Twitch and subscribe to us over on YouTube. It is a great help for our channel and we really appreciate all the help we've gotten so far. But without further ado, Anthony, what are we doing here tonight?
Hey guys, welcome back to the CU. You know, last week, as you well know, we started rotating guest hosts on our panels of discussion shows, and unfortunately for him, Qedhup drew the short straw. So let's welcome Qedhup to the show. So if you don't know Qedhup, you're probably just discovering the Cypher system, to be quite honest. He has a ton of content on YouTube covering all aspects of the system, along with many other tabletop RPGs. So, you know, when we approached Qedhup about coming on the show, we wanted to ask him, you know, what do you want to talk about? So he gave us a list of topics, right? And he gave us a topic, you know, that piqued my interest: the pros and cons of tabletop games moving into the digital world. You know, that really piqued my interest because, quite frankly, I like arguing, and this is a very divisive topic where everyone having different opinions. So whether we're talking about VTTs, PDS, digital exclusive content, it doesn't matter. Everyone has an opinion. So what the hell? Let's talk about our opinions. Of course, like always, we're going to measure how Monte Cook Games stacks up on all these multiple mediums and subjects. But Qedhup, welcome back to the CU.
Thanks. Always glad to be here.
So we're going to dive right into this. So before we even get started, let's define, what did you mean by digital world?
Okay. Well, let me say before I get started, I am a little sad you didn't want to do the erotic role play live with everybody on here, but whatever, I get it. Yeah, let's get into the digital world. So obviously, you know, life has changed over the decades. A lot of us, I think, are at the ages where some of our youth might have been spent with very little to no technology, and then we've kind of grown up with it since. Everything has changed as far as the digital world, and TTRPGs is no different as far as that's concerned. It's mixed, especially since 2020 for reasons. It's mixed a lot. You know, you're getting digital things at the table with tablets, or you're doing more online play, or like there are very few tables these days that do just analog and only analog, and there's no digital something mixed in somewhere. And I find that there's a lot of little nitty-gritty things that I think some of us may agree on, some of us may not agree on, that we probably can get into today.
And you're the perfect guest for this because, you know, for those that don't know, not only is he a YouTube content creator, he's also a layout artist. Artists themselves, he designed the CypherCon t-shirts, yeah, among other things. So, you know, you're very active in the digital sphere to begin with. So you really understand the inner workings of what's actually going on behind the scenes. So you when you suggested this topic, I was like, oh, Qedhup's perfect for this.
Good. Yeah.
And I figure we'll disagree on some points. So where do you think we should start with? Because, you know, this is kind of a broad topic. And, you know, we just pretty much jotted down a bunch of notes. So you want to do pros and cons, or you want to ask some questions first?
Well, shouldn't we define it, like what exactly we're talking about? Or do you want to talk about each step as we talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, because this, you know, I view VTTs, PDF, digital exclusive content as three separate entities, unless I'm mistaken.
It's a lot of little things kind of interconnected for being a digital world. So having one definition, I don't think will really fit in this situation.
It works.
So you want to knock like the elephant in the room out first, which is, I personally think, is VTTs.
It's a good one to start with. I think that's a pretty bulky one that a lot of people are dealing with today. Probably going to have a lot of people yelling in the comments, no, this one's better.
Yeah, and just a disclaimer, we're not saying any VTT, Qedhup might say, but I'm personally not saying any VTT is better than the other. We're just going to talk about VTTs as a whole. and how that is impacted, role playing games.
I'm gonna say now, I'm saying it right off the bat, and I've already seen people in the channel being like, Foundry, yay! And for my personal use, I like Foundry because it is very open, very moddable, very customizable. But it's not for everybody. It's not for every use case, especially with Cypher. Sometimes you just need a place to roll dice and maybe show a picture, and maybe you don't need all the power of Foundry. As much as I like it, I I wouldn't consider it the best. It's just the best for me.
All right, so what do you think are the biggest aspects of a VTT aside from being able to play online with friends? Like, what are the options that the average person you believe would be looking for?
So I think for me, you got probably three main aspects for a virtual tabletop that are the most important things. First of all is a place to roll dice and like have a chat of some kind. So like to do the text needful that you would need to do in an online game. Secondly, would be a place to show something. If you use battle maps, great. I don't use them much myself. I do a lot of theater of the mind, but I do like to use like throw in some pictures and stuff, which is so it's nice to have a place to post those or at least draw. And then of course to me, and this isn't for everybody, but for me, some place to have some sort of like custom database of where I write down my NPCs and things that have happened, and maybe like store what items I'm going to give out and stuff like that. So somewhere you can write your own shit into the VTT. I think those are the three main bits that you'd need.
How about you, Al? Yeah, I would agree with you on all three, by the way, Ken. How about you, Al?
No, I 100% agree. I think that's probably what most average users and someone in the chat said this, it was aloof. So does an average person look for a VTT? No, we're talking about the average DM because we know the average DM/GM is going to be the one picking the VTT, and then they tell their players to use said VTT. It's generally not the players deciding which VTTs. Sometimes yes, sometimes the GM will cater to what the players prefer, but generally speaking, it's what the GM prefers.
I will say this: having run CypherCon for the last 3 years, we've had players mention that they avoided particular games because of certain VTTs.
I did not see any of that. I don't recall any.
Matter of fact, someone that we both know, that the three of us know.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Refused to play in a game because of a certain VTT.
I don't recall this. Yeah, you're gonna have to tell me afterwards. Damn, I don't remember this at all.
We're not gonna name names, and I haven't seen them in chat yet.
But
it does happen, and there's nothing wrong with that because your personal preference is your personal preference.
Yes,
yeah. I wasn't trying to say it in a negative light, but it does.
The average experience is usually the GM. But either way.
The point I was trying to make is that since VTTs has been out now for a few years, that is starting to creep up even more now. People have their personal favorites. It's not like, it's not like when Roll20 was like the only show in town. Between there's Foundry, Fantasy Grounds, Albert, Rody, Alchemy. There's a ton of options now. So now people are, moving into the camp of, I'm only playing on Foundry. I'm only playing on Roll20. I'm only playing.
Just like RPG systems, I'm not like this is my game and this is only my game. I'm not like that with VTTs either. I do have one game I run on Owlbear Rodeo because I just repicked up using Owlbear Rodeo like last month, and I'm like, whoa, they really updated this. This is really good now. I can't wait for Alchemy to get some more like Cypher because Alchemy's beautiful. It's gorgeous. I think out of all of them, Roll20 is the one I use the least right now. So
and you see, Roll20 is the one I use the most because it's the one I have the most experience in. And if anybody's been following me in the last like 3 days on the CU, my new passion, my new like obsession right now is High Noon to Midnight. So I've been building out a game on that, and I realized that I had to put, because ciphers work a little differently in that game. you have the power words, and you have the alchemist bullets. I had to build out all the tables manually because there is no integration at the moment for any of the white books on Roll20. So I had to it took me like an hour and a half to take everything off the PDF, put it on the table, on Roll20. So, and now leading to this perfect discussion, right? Do you prefer to have all the books available, not only Monte Cook Games books, but just period, on your VTT of choice? And do you have a problem with repurchasing those books?
Oof.
Okay. Al, if you want to, I might have a rant afterwards. So
Yeah,
Al, if you want to get into it first.
I'll let you out because I'm pretty short and sweet on this. Because you guys probably know I prefer the more light VTT experience, like the Owlbear rodeos, or even just Discord with a whiteboard. Like I don't need anything crazy, right? I'll let people roll physical dice and at their table, and they'll just tell me what they rolled. We don't even need a digital dice roller, right? So when it comes to this sort of thing, I'm of the camp as long as everyone has the PDF available to themselves, like I'm running Cypher System, so I would want everyone to have at least the SRD website pulled up, something that they can read the rules off of, right? And if I have to, if they don't have those materials available, I'll just teach them because Cypher System is very easy. So personally, I don't need the VTT to have all the bells and whistles of having every module, every table on there, every rule, whatever, right? Because I can do it all either in a notepad on Google Docs or within Discord or whatever, right? I just need a place to type and a place to show pictures.
That's more than fair. Yeah. I think for me is having things purchased on the VTT, unfortunately, sort of leads into one of the other points we were thinking of talking about anyways, and that's the digital content as a paid service. That makes me unhappy in some ways and happy in other ways. It's a very mixed bag, but mini rant for a second. Look at the video game industry and look at the movie industry and content as a service. It has been bad. You've seen people pay for games, but you don't buy the games. You know how hard it is to actually buy a video game right now and actually own it? It's very hard because you're just getting it as a service, and then they can take it away. They can edit it. They can change it. They can do whatever they want to it. Same thing with movies. You buy a movie on Amazon Prime and Amazon has shown sometimes they just delete those movies. There's nothing you can do about it. If you buy digital content on a VTT, and I bring in websites that are sort of VTTs like this, like D&D Beyond, Demiplane, stuff like that. Part of me thinks it's great because it's interactive, it's built in, you don't have to think as much, although for Cypher that's not really as needed as something like Pathfinder. But they can remove it or change it whenever the hell they feel like, and you can't say boo about it.
You can't say bunkus. Yeah, I'm 100% in agreement, but then just to play the devil's advocate, right? That person that's running, because Cypher isn't the best example for RPG. I agree with both of you, because you can get away with just doing the Owlbear Rodeo, but there are some people that use Cypher like they would do Daggerheart or 5e or or Draw. Something like Draw Steel needs, if you're gonna run that, you need the integration with the VTT, having all those bells and whistles, because it's just going to save you so much time as a player. I mean, as a GM, to be able to import instead of importing all that stuff manually, right? So I can understand.
One of the reasons I was really happy that MCG decided to go with alchemy as one of their choices, because I'm not sure how familiar you are with alchemy. But one of the things they like to do, if the companies they work with allow them to do so, is when you buy their content exclusive to Alchemy, you also get the PDF for that content. In fact, I actually got in trouble with Free League once when they did too much.
Yeah, I was going to lead to that. Is there a way to soften the blow for you, Qedhup? That I was actually going to lead into that. Is it is it something? Because I'm not a huge fan of paying twice for anything. So I 100% agree with you, and I 100% agree with you that this is where the direction that majority of VTTs are heading, whether we agree with it or not. But is there a way they could integrate this and make it more consumer friendly for the average GM? That's because let's be for real, not everyone just sticks to one game. So say you running 3 games a week, they all 3 different systems. So now you have to repurchase all 3 different games on your VTT of choice. It's gonna get freaking ridiculous. Is there a way for them to soften the blow in order to make it easier without making it totally free? Because on the other side of the coin, if the VTT is generating revenue from people paying for this, it's hard for us to guilt the gaming company for not getting a chunk of that revenue as well. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm see here's the thing, is as long as they're smart about it and they have other avenues to get some of the content, or they can soften the blow, like offering the PDF along with the content or something. I think that's a smarter move to do it, because like you said, you don't have to pay multiple times to get the same thing over and over again. It is a bit Wild West out there right now. I mean, this is all like still fairly new as far as people trying to set up how we want to pay for these things and how we want to do this. So unfortunately, it's still pretty messy. I think the way that Alchemy has handled it with stuff in the past, where they give the PDFs along with it, is probably one of the best ways to at least soften it. Either that, or a lot of times some of these VTTs will work with the company. If company has their own store, maybe the company's store can track which unlocks you have that can then feed to the VTT. So it can be on the company's onus to be like, okay, you bought this, it is now good in the following, or something like that. Just as long as we don't have to buy it 17 times.
Would you have an issue with someone? I seen someone else mention this, and I'm sorry if I'm not giving them credit, but it's not my idea. Someone else mentioned that if you pay a subscription service, that you get to use on the platform, not own, but use on the platform every available rule set that they have deals with. Similar to like what Game Pass works with. So like, say if you pay Roll20 $25, or you pay Alchemy $25 a month, and every company that they have a deal with, you have access to their product line, as long as you're paying the subscription, and then they split the money with those individual companies.
With Al, did you want to tackle this one?
No, I was because all right. So just as a I always like to do disclaimer, asterisks, whatever on my statements. I'm not a huge VTT guy. Like I said, I'm the bare minimum. Like Owlbell Rodeo is like the most I would want out of a VTT, right? Like, so I don't really know about like extensions and add-ons and blah blah blah. But the way you guys are speaking about it, especially that Alchemy stuff, I didn't know they did that. That's awesome. That if you buy like the module, you get a PDF. I think that's an awesome way to soften the blow, so to speak. But what you were also saying, if the company can somehow track what you're purchasing, and then somehow make that unlock, right? That's also another way to solve it. And again, triple piggyback, the Game Pass type situation. And this is a clarifying question: does anybody offer something like that right now? Is that a thing on any of these VTTs where you could pay $25?
I don't think so.
So I think that would be another good way to soften the blow, so to speak. Because then for that subscription fee, you can try everything. And then once you figure out what you like, you can start spending your money on that and stop the subscription and then focus on the game that you like. And again,
I mean, logistically, it's probably be a nightmare for the VTT.
Yeah. But I do like that concept in theory quite a bit. But again, me being me and how I play online, it's neither here nor there. But I would love to see something like that, because I think what you're aiming for, what your question was, how can we soften the blow, so to speak, of buying things multiple times? that subscription type thing where you have access to a library would be one way. Even though again, that's kind of a weird thing for TTRPGs. Like, it would be very mixed reception. I feel like, but it is a pretty good way to get people who are interested in TTRPGs as a whole, who don't have like the preferred system, right? Someone who's like, hey, I'm curious about this. Most people would just try D&D, but in a perfect world, they would say, hey, there's Game Pass TTRPG edition. I can just try them all and then figure out what I like and then stop with the subscription and then just buy that product, support that company. Yeah, I mean, I think that would be pretty ideal to get newcomers in, but it would be divisive for people who are already fans of things.
Mm.
I'm not big on the subscription idea. Like I have had like Game Pass and stuff like that, but also like the video games on Game Pass, a lot of times, like if there's a game I know I really, really want, then I'll buy it. Otherwise, the
Mm.
Game Pass is on like the games on Game Pass, like I know I'm only going to get like 10, 20 hours out of it and
Yeah.
probably move on anyways. So it's not a big deal. Like it's like cool, I tried a thing, I moved on, stuff like that. But the thing with RPGs is to really give it a try, I'm probably going to be playing 3 to 6 months with a group to really try out an RPG. And then you've got multiple RPGs you want to try, and then I don't feel like you'd be getting your money's worth out of it. I'd rather just pay the amount for the PDF, or a lot of places have like a quick play, like at least demo
Yeah.
version of their RPG or something, uh, usually perfectly for free, or like a quick start. I don't know. I'm not big on the subscription idea myself. I've got enough damn subscriptions in my life right now.
I mean,
Don't want to add another.
that's very valid, because at the end of the day, it's pretty much just a time save. Because if you really hardcore, you're gonna like, even if you have own the PDF, you can manually put it in, Foundry, Roll20. It's more of a time save than it is anything else.
Yeah.
Because there's
Um,
always options of manually putting everything in.
Mhm.
what you call it?
Mm,
Aloof and Poof says had a great comment in chat.
mm, mm.
Isn't some quote unquote buying it multiple times kind of an illusion? Like you buy a module in hardback and also license it on Roll20. You're paying for two related but different things. A product and a service in this case. And this is what you were saying. You basically pay to save the time of inputting all that manually.
Yeah.
So you're not really paying for the module, you're paying to save that time.
Yeah, instead of cutting and pasting all the maps, everything is available for you. The NPCs, in the case of Cypher System, the Cypher tables, the
If
GMI
it's
list.
things like the automation and the character sheets and
Mm.
everything like that, like I'm perfectly happy like paying for the developers to have done that. It's the case where in some VTTs you're paying literally just for like a built-in PDF. Like it's just the content from the PDF that happens to be in the VTT and nothing else. Then I feel like I'm paying double. But if it's got the other stuff, then yeah, I'll happily pay. Like the developers worked hard on that.
Yeah. So before we move off on this topic, let's ask the important question: where do you think MCG stands in like comparative to other gaming companies in just VTT support? Period.
Terrible. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, I think MCG's been ahead on the curve, because like they started some of their digital tools stuff. It was 3 years ago. 2 years ago. It was at least a good few years ago. When at that point there was only a few other companies that were really doing their own like digital tool suites at that point. Like MCG was, I think they were kind of ahead of the curve. And then they've got things like the SRD stacked on top of it that you can like get the basic rules with. The character creator is just like you're not having pay anything at the moment. Like even if they had charged just for the character creator to unlock the ability to use it, I probably would have been fine with that. But they're like, oh, here, have it. And then the fact that they've already expressed that, like, hey, we still want our community to have these tools. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if eventually maybe they do some unlocks for like Numenera or the Strange or something in the future. But once again, they haven't really charged for any of their digital tools, and their digital tools have been amazingly good so far. So I'm very happy with the way MCG, they have not gone the route of greed. They've been very ear to the ground with the community. They've been pretty good on it.
How about you, Al?
So I will say this about them, and again, you guys know I don't enjoy fully in-depth things, so I don't really know what MCG offers as far as add-ons and stuff. But I will say the community, oftentimes when I see VTTs brought up, they're hankering for more of that like automation support, which is why people like Foundry so much, because it has Marco or whoever is maintaining that is doing a very good job at all the automation aspects. People are really itching for that. So I think MCG kind of falls below mark for that, because again, I don't know how much automation they actually do offer, but people often say Foundry has the best version of that, and it's not an MCG official thing. So I will say they're falling beneath the mark on that. Oh, go ahead.
This is gonna open up a whole other can of worms.
No, I'm just going with what people say in the community. This is not my own opinion.
I will say this, that every VTT isn't the same when it comes to licensing support as in supporting actual companies. So it's I think it's and I think MCG has been pretty straightforward about this. I think they're willing to dance with anyone that's willing to dance with them, but they can't control who their dance partners are if they don't want to dance. So you know.
One thing I say often in the VTT channel, that is, I think, one big deterrent for companies like MCG to officially support Foundry is one of the reasons I like Foundry, but it's not compatible with businesses, and that is the purely open nature of the way things work in the VTT. If you make a module with all of your content, there are no security checks in Foundry whatsoever for you to drag and drop that to someone else's Foundry. Now you say, oh, well, you can copy and paste from a PDF too. Well, that's a pain in the arse. Have you ever tried to copy and paste from a PDF to get the raw data out of it? It's not great. PDF is, as a layout artist, I've got a whole thing about PDF. That's a different show. But in Foundry, one of the things I love is the fact that I can make a whole ass module full of all this content, and I can just be like, here, everybody, take it. And they can just drag and drop it in, no fuss, no muss, and it just goes in, and it just happens. But the problem is licensing and like making sure people aren't just like, oh, cool, and just spread it like the greatest RPG herpes ever. And Foundry is almost too open to make an attractive marketplace, because in the end, as much as MCG has shown they really do care about the community and the products, and just they're a bunch of nerds themselves, they're also a business and they got to keep the lights on. So yeah.
I mean, I do eventually think that Foundry is going to get official support from MCG, for Cypher System and for all their products, because I think that MCG is making a conscious effort to get on as many VTTs as they possibly can. And I think the first two that, Alchemy and Roll20 is just the beginning, right? And I agree with both of you that I think they've made huge strides in the last 3 or 4 years in this space, but it was new to a lot of companies. So a lot of companies are now catching up, with having their product across multiple platforms. And I think MCG is no different. And I eventually think, because I think Foundry is the best VTT, if we're being 100% honest, as in a pure system. So I think that, eventually they're going to have to work something out.
I like Foundry in that you can trim it down to be as simple as Owlbear Rodeo, or you can make it super, super complex and automated, which is fun to tinker with. But I don't, as much as I love Foundry and it's my favorite, I don't think there is a perfect VTT out there. I think each VTT has a drawback. Like Alchemy is beautiful, but have you ever tried to do custom content in it? It's a nightmare. The user experience needs a rework. Roll20 is needing an update. It's dated, and basic features that every other VTT has is behind a paywall on Roll20. Owlbear Rodeo is kind of still on the simple side, even if it is really nice looking. Foundry is a little too open, and hosting it yourself can require a little bit of technical mumbo jumbo. Like each one has something about it. They just need to unite like a Captain Planet of VTTs.
But ultimately, I think MCG is doing a great job, at least catching up to the people that are leading the VTT space. And I got a feeling when the new Cypher drops and we get the first two integrations with Alchemy and Roll20, you'll see Fantasy Grounds, Foundry, all the other VTTs start to get support shortly thereafter. Or at least that's my gut feeling.
Makes sense to go to the more attractive ones first that like provide a better like deal to get into things, especially in a secure environment when they're trying to push into this new field. And then open it up afterwards. They've already shown they're willing to be open with their rule sets.
Yeah.
So
let's talk PDFs, because this was an area that was this was contentious early on in MCGs. How do you think MCG handles PDF support? And I'm just going to flat out say it. Do you think when you purchase a book for any gaming company that the PDF should be included when you purchase a physical book?
Oh, I see. If you're purchasing the physical book, I see combos out there where you can get the book and the PDF and it costs more, but I mean, especially with MCG, the fact that they don't have a separate layout for the book that they do for the PDF. I don't really understand it. It's not costing them literally anything else other than you have an easy to reference digital access. But I mean, it's a file they already had that they had to use to print the book in the first place. So I don't know. I am torn on it. I think if you buy the physical book, including the PDF, it's kind of a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think that's actually kind of standard for most companies now. But I will say this, MCG has given the PDFs for practically everything Cypher related for free the last two backer kits. So,
Gotcha.
It's not like if you're getting screwed over in any way, because if you backed any of the products after, you literally have the entire library.
The only time I would see paying for the PDF along with the physical book is I think we can embrace this a little bit better and make a separate layout for the PDF. Because, and I've done this with a couple of books in the past, there's a few clients that actually had me do this. They had the print, it was a US letter sized book, but for the PDF, it was a 16:9 formatted for digital screen with all the anchor points and automation for flipping around it in digital. It wasn't made for print. It was made to run on a tablet or a monitor. In that case, yes, I would pay extra for the PDF.
What do you think of the overall quality of the MCG PDFs? The actual PDF?
That's something I wanted to point out from someone had said in chat, apparition. I don't know. That's not right. But they said PDF should be a tiny bit on top of the book, like a little bit more, because the PDF does need a little bit of work with the hyperlinks. And that I do agree with, right? So there's the extreme example that Qedhup mentioned where they make a whole different version, right? That's a whole bunch of work. But even if it's still just the regular print version, the same file they used for the print version, they still have to go through each of those pages or however many pages and do hyperlinks to the important parts, right? And MCG does do that well. I will say that though, it should just be a little bit more on top. It should there should be I don't know how much more it is when you go and buy the book and the PDF together, but I'm assuming it's not only a $5 extra. I think it should be just a $5 extra. You buy the hardcover and you get the PDF for $5. I don't know what their price point is, but yeah.
I will also say, it obviously looks like a lot of work. Hyperlinking things together in a PDF is actually less work than you think, especially with modern day things. You can pretty much automate the process. Affinity is still catching up on this, but in Adobe, you can literally automate the process. And every time you type in a certain keyword, it automatically hyperlinks to the index point or whatever, and you don't have to manually do it. So as long as your layout artist has set it up appropriately, it's very little work to actually do.
So make
I,
it
I think
$2.
I think MCG's PDFs are actually really good. Like all the hyperlinks work. You know, it's easy to navigate on a tablet or on a PC. You know, the actual quality of the PDFs are outstanding. And I've been saying this for the last 5 years. I just think that most companies do this. That if you purchase the physical book, at least at your site, right, you should get the PDF.
I agree
And
that
I think,
MCG's PDFs are really, really good. I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah. No, I was gonna say, and I think most fans view it the same way. Of course, we're gonna view it. We saving some money, but
With their PDFs, like obviously once again they're making it for the print in the first place. But even like the choices they make for the layout, everything's generally very readable. I mean, of course, we all love the art. I mean, my gosh, the artists that they choose. But even the way it's set up, they make it easy to reference in a book, but they make it very easy to flip through digitally as well. And I feel like they keep that in mind when their layout and designers are going through and doing it. And then their exports, and I'm getting a little techno geek in here since this is what I do as my day job. Their exports are well balanced. I've seen some professional grade PDF exports that were they looked terrible and yet took up a remarkably large file size. Monte Cook Games does everything right, where the book comes out at a nominal normal size, but everything still looks super sharp and crisp, like it's the highest quality export. So they do some good magic.
I wonder what the numbers are like in comparison to off the website. How many physical copies and how many PDFs they sell of each individual title, because that also might have a reason why they make the decisions that they make. Like if the PDFs are outselling the physical books, 75% of all their sales are PDF sales, then maybe logically it doesn't make sense for them to offer it for free when that's their big seller opposed to the physical book.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd only include the PDF, or at least at a very reduced rate. If they had the physical book on its own, obviously you gotta make some money. You worked hard on it. You pay a lot of people. So there's no way for us to tell this. There's no way for us to tell how many people are playing online or needing digital. We can tell PDF sales versus physical sales, but no way for us to tell how many people are actually having to use the digital tools. But I have a sneaking suspicion ever since the magical year of 2020 that playing online and digital in general obviously went almost purely digital in 2020 and 2021. And I feel like it's never bounced back to the same levels of analog tables as it was pre-pandemic. I feel like there's a lot of people like this, like I myself included. I started playing with a bunch of people. Like one guy's in Missouri, another one's in Arizona. Like one of them is actually in Denmark. Like they're all over the place. And I don't want to drop those people now. And I feel like it's kind of globalization has kind of happened after that. And I feel like digital online games and digital tools have exploded and they're not going away.
Yeah, 100% agree. I can count on my hand the amount of physical games I play a year, but 95% of my gaming is online now. So it's sort of like, I totally get it. And unfortunately, I think you're absolutely right. That's the wave. That's where we're headed. And I think it's unavoidable. Do you think that in-person gaming will go the way of the dodo, like say in the next 25 years?
I if anything, I think people are getting tired online and getting burnt out, and they want more reasons to unplug lately. That's how I
agree
feel.
with that. But it's definitely at the point right now, not to say 10, 15, whatever many years in the future, but right this instant, it feels like online is the default way and in-person is the exception. That's just most people's
Yeah.
mindsets now. It's just if
can
people
see
are
that.
talking about TTRPGs, most people their first thought is, oh, what voice chat are we using? What VTT are we using? It's never, oh, whose house are we meeting at? That's not the default thought process anymore.
Yeah. Also, if you think about it, though, from a corporate perspective, online is way more profitable than
Mhm.
like if you sell a physical book. Okay, you sold a physical book, you might sell a GM screen, but online that money is reoccurring. Like the online store, some people pay subscriptions for VTTs. Like there's just more money to be made digitally. Once again, it's like what Qedhup said, the cost is minimal compared to printing a physical book. So if you could sell the same PDF on 3 different VTTs, even though you're getting a smaller cut, but you're selling it more times and it's costing you less to make, I can't see any company turning that money away.
Printing books is, especially right now, a nightmare. As someone that's going through the process, and even had friends like my buddy Taryn that made Vagabond, like that was a struggle for him. He almost like the project almost went belly up like twice because of just random manufacturer things and stuff. You don't got to worry about that in digital. Like here's the PDF, you're done. That's it.
Speaking of digital, right? We talked about this a little bit earlier, but exclusive digital content has been like the last year and a half, 2 years. It's starting to rear its ugly head over all aspects of gaming. What do you guys feel about exclusive digital content? I know Wizards just released a bunch of products that are only available online. You can't get the physical copy. What's your guys' take on that?
It's fine, quite honestly. Some people just prefer only to have a digital thing, right? It's I don't know. It definitely makes sense. Like especially in this time and age, like most people have iPad or phone or whatever, right?
I mean, I understand it personally. I hate it. It annoys me. But I think that's the old man in me to get off my lawn.
For me, it's not my personal bag, but it's in the same way that I don't do solo RPGs or anything either. But I also see a good market for those, and I see people have fun with them. And as long as you're not hurting anybody, you can't have fun wrong. So, exclusive content, and we're seeing a lot of interesting, I want to say hybrids in some of this exclusive content. You get ones that swing more towards being an RPG, like what's the Foundry one? Ember, where it's like it's an entire system, but it's only in Foundry and it's only with the modules, no books. But it's still an RPG, which is cool. And then on Steam, you're seeing a bunch of games that are kind of a video game, but they do have role play aspects where you got to play it with a group and you still act out your character and stuff. And I'm seeing all these interesting in between hybrids where maybe it's not as attractive to me because I do have like a billion RPG nerds willing to play real games with me. But I mean, if you've got a more video gaming crowd or younger crowd with those 2-second attention spans, or I'm old man now too. Maybe that would be better for them. Or in some of these, maybe you can do more of a solo role play with like without having to rely on like the mastery tables and all of that stuff, and it just helps aid you in it. I don't see a problem with it, even if it's not for me. I think it's actually just more tools in our toolbox.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't care if the consumer purchases it, but like when there is existing IPs, right? Like we'll use Eberron for example. They just recently released like exclusive Eberron content. Only on what's that D&D Beyond, where you could only purchase it there, right? As someone who's a collector and a completionist, you're now telling someone, hey, if you want to be a completionist, if you want to complete this entire Eberron line, you're gonna have to get D&D Beyond. It's like what Sync Dissident said. it's attacking the FOMO market. You know what I mean?
And no, in those cases, I hate it. I hate it with
Yeah.
all my fiber and with all my being. I hate it. I hate it so badly because it's
Like,
going
if
into
it's,
the whole content as a paid service again because
yeah,
you don't own shit. You've paid for
yeah.
a license to read it for now until they decided they don't want to give it to you anymore.
And you know, like MCG's exclusive digital content is different. Like they have the exclusive character generator. It's free, so you're not, you know, you could choose to whether you want to. You're not losing
Well,
out
that's
on anything.
different tool as well because that's just like a tool you can use with the game, but it's not core content.
Yeah.
So even if it was like behind a paywall or something, I'd still, because it's not needed to play an aspect of the game, I would still be okay with it. But things like that D&D Beyond thing where it's actual content behind a paywall and it's as a service, that is my nightmare. That is my nightmare.
Also, the Darkest Woods and the Darkest, what you call the Darkest House, those, I thought it was a great idea to release the physical book for those FOMO people. Like, hey, I want to complete my MCG collection, but I'm not big on playing online. They had the option to buy the physical book.
That, which I very much appreciate.
Same here. I thought that was a great.
They're good at it.
Yeah, I thought that was a great decision.
Can you run the app?
Oh, don't get me started on the Darkest. I can't even. Oh, he said I'm on Linux. I can't even run that app. But at least you could still play the game by purchasing the physical book.
I kind of agree with Dissonant there with the, like, if you want to offer this cool, unique digital product that's exclusive, fine, but like have a print it yourself version, I'd be okay with that because I can still get it somehow.
Yeah.
Like I'm willing to print my own stuff.
Yeah, me either. I have no problems with print on demand.
Yeah. But digital, like,
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I would say digital content as a paid service. I can't. It's my nightmare. I see what it's done to the video game industry. People losing access to games that they paid for, or things getting changed around, and like I dread that this is seeping into our gaming industry.
So this actually, you posted a question here that's actually really good. It's a perfect lead-in, right? So do you think we're losing out with less physical mediums? Like as a whole, do you think the tabletop RPG community is losing out?
I don't think so. As long as there's still ways for us to have the content, I'm good with PDFs. And so here's kind of like a flipsy question back to you. If you're at a table, how comfortable are you just using PDFs on a tablet versus having the physical books?
That's fine.
I prefer the physical book. I'm not gonna lie, I prefer the physical book. I only use my PDFs for prep. And I take the train to work every day, so I use the PDFs to read on the train. But when it comes to actual gameplay, even when I'm online, I have the physical book.
What's interesting is I am the exact opposite as you. If I'm prepping, I like to have the physical book because I like to leaf through it. I just kind of like meander through it, figure out what I want. But during gameplay, I like the search feature. If I need to look up a rule, I want to control F or click the little magnifying glass, just search for it and go right to what I need.
You see, I'm old, and if Dean was here, I'm the sticky tab guy, so I'll know this is the combat section, this is the cipher section. So I'll just have the book tabbed up, and it's just easier for me. You know what I mean? Like I could just grab the book. Oh, I need a cipher. But when I'm prepping, especially on something like Roll20, I'm only using the PDF.
And Jill and chat, thank you, first time chat, saying like tablets are like $100. Like, yeah, you can go get like the basic like Amazon Fire tablet for a song and a dance. It's big enough for PDFs, and it's enough like pretty much anyone can afford to have one at the table. And sometimes I like the paper character sheets, but depending on what I'm doing, sometimes I'm perfectly happy with like people using an online character sheet or anything, anyways. I mean, these days we always say, "Oh, what if the internet goes out?" And I'm like, if my internet went out, it's probably because my power also went out, in which case we're in the dark anyways. It's gonna be really hard to play. We're probably just gonna like dick around and eat snacks until everyone goes home. So it's modern society for us. I don't know. Like I'm embracing the digital age as far as aids at the table.
And I
Dissident. Well, carrying books is bad for you for my back with traveling for the game. I have a funny story.
oh
When when we first started getting back into gaming, right? Our in-person gaming group. I live in Queens. Our in-person gaming group was in the Bronx, and no one had books. Like literally, we had like it was 7 people playing plus me as the GM, and there was maybe one other person that had a player's handbook. So I carried every book for everyone to every session, and I had
Oh, that's nice.
half the people didn't have dice. Half the people didn't have tokens. So I would carry a military duffel bag from Queens to the Bronx twice a week. You remember that, Al?
yes, I do. Oh man, that bag. Oh, huge bag, huge bag.
Yeah.
But that kind of leads me into this like, how do I feel about the TTRPG space leaning more towards digital these days? I think it's fine as long as it's not like what we were saying before, where like with your Eberron example, how it gets gated behind this specific VTT or whatever service. That's when I think it's starting to go to the negative aspect of it. Like when that content's being locked on a specific platform, you have to be online, logged in on their service. That becomes an issue. But just the fact that it's digital leaning, where most people want a PDF, or they want to sit down on a VTT or whatever. That's fine. We're in a digital age now. It makes it easier to play with people from across the world. Not everybody lives down the block from each other. So yeah, I mean, I think it's great.
And
Yeah,
when your
okay.
library gets so big, I mean, like I've got like bunches. I got books upstairs, downstairs, wherever, however. But like I also have on my Google Drive, I have like an RPG folder that's got all of my PDFs, and it's hundreds of books, and I can access them anytime, anywhere. There's been several times I've had people over for a board game, and they're like, you know what? Let's do an RPG like one shot. I'm like, all right, pick a system. I got them all right here, and like it's easy, very easy.
You know who benefits the most from digital content? The rules lawyer. Because it's a lot quicker for them to
Yeah.
pull up a rule. You're doing it wrong. Hyperlinked.
Thankfully, we don't have to do it with Cypher. With Cypher, I think 99% of our gameplay we don't need rules for,
Yeah.
because it's a task. Everything's just a task roll, and then you're bullshitting the rest of it with like GMIs. So you don't really need any special. But if you're to do Pathfinder, which I will never do again probably, then yeah, you need quick access to all that shit.
You know what I noticed in the last year, which is it's been so against my grain, right? But in the last year, I've been incorporating a lot more maps in my Cypher game. Like even in this High Noon to Midnight game, I have 2 maps just built out. I don't know if I'm gonna use them, but I have them with the tokens. Because I noticed with the influx of Cypher becoming as popular as it has in the last year and a half, and just running games in CypherCon, there's a lot more players are expecting some tactical, especially in the VTT space, where they need those maps. And ultimately, as a GM, you want to provide the experience that they enjoy, as opposed to what you enjoy. So it's just weird. I feel like I've been using maps a lot more than I've ever have.
So I still use some maps. Not always. Sometimes I spend the time and I make really, really, really pretty maps. But a lot of times I just go to the scene on Foundry where it's just like a blank thing, and I just like roughly sketch out there's a building here, and like because we don't need precise measurements in Cypher. Most of the games I play, even like Daggerheart, I don't. It's just got categories like Cypher does. But I've gotten. I do use them a lot, but only because in a couple of my groups, I've got a couple players that regularly play with me that are highly autistic, and they need it to focus. They need some sort of visual representation. So for me, it was one of those understanding steps in the session zero. What aids do we need? Because I know I have some players with certain needs. And the maps, even if it's rough maps, are kind of required in a few of my games. So I find I'm just used to it because I need it for those specific players.
The happy medium for me is I'll use the map, but I'll remove the grid. I'll have the map
I
there,
never
but
use the grid.
I remove the grid. But I just noticed, which is weird, because I was always theater of the mind. You know, even in my D&D days, I was theater of the mind. But I don't know what it is. It's just lately, maybe like CypherCon from like 2 years ago when somebody was like, "Can you please put a map up?" You know, so then events. Now I just prep them just in case.
And most people are happy as long as like it doesn't have to be a pretty map, like a couple of boxes and like circles and stuff like that to be like, this is where the shit is. I find a lot of people are fine with that. It's just enough to give them a representation of, okay, this is far away. I get it now. I'm good.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's generally where I lean, is those loose. I like, I draw a rectangle and a circle, and that's a bush, that's a building, But some people, again, I generally wouldn't use that. Like if I'm just gaming by myself, I don't use that stuff, like a solo play or something. But like Qedhup was saying, I recognize that helps some people. Like they need to see something, like whether it's just a square and a circle, whatever. They need that visualization, and it helps. And if that's what you like. Again, back to what Qedhup was saying. You do that in session zero. You find out what exactly you need to bring to your digital table to help the people at your table.
Yeah.
And I find that doing this, like the quick circles and shapes and stuff like that, is the equivalent of what we used to do back in the day, where I'd still do theater of the mind and like AD&D, but they'd still want something to show where everything was. So it'd be like, okay, you're the gummy bear, you're the Cheeto, and you're over by the cup, and like.
Yeah, that was my high school gaming right there. Gummy bears, Cheeto.
Yeah,
it works.
If you would have mentioned Mountain Dew, you would have had the trifecta or Funyuns.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but so overall, guys, I think the ultimate question is, with digital content, where does MCG stack up in all this? I mean, I think for the most part, we gave them pretty great grades and everything. But where do you put them overall?
Overall, I've played a lot of different systems and used a lot of different tools from a lot of different companies. And I would say they're maybe not the top of like the cream of the crop. There's a couple of companies I can think of that are banging them out like crazy, but they're up there. Like they're somewhere between A and S tier. If you were to like use like the tier things, they adopted it pretty early. They're getting into it quickly. They're willing to reinforce it where a lot of companies aren't, and they're not greedy about it, which is why like it's pretty much they're almost S tier for me. Like they are handling it very, very well. The only reason I say there's a couple companies ahead of them is there's some companies that have like devoted a monumental amount of resources into like digital aids, but they tend to be newer companies, or they might have some greed in other areas. But I think they're up there. I give them a near top grade.
I mean, for me, again, as far as my needs are concerned, they do an excellent job. Like all I need is a PDF, and that I'm good. Like that's I don't know how many other people are like pure theater of the mind. But I think as far as a general sense, like general population of TTRPG players, right? I think they would probably put MCG as a C or a B, with needs improvement or whatever marking, because again, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong here, that lack of like automation support, like having a character sheet controlled, or like all the tables pulled up on your the VTT of your choice, I think we'll really see how they
It's
like
technically only one VTT though.
well,
It's technically only one VTT. If we're being honest, because they do have that support on Roll20, they do have that support on so like, I know that that's the VTT that's the most vocal on our server, but if we're being honest, most of the major books are available on Roll20. Most of the major books are available on Fantasy Ground. So it's not like you can't get those books at another VTT. It's a specific VTT that our community loves the most.
but really what I was getting at is um um I'm assuming you mentioned all that because I mentioned automation. I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
just
yeah.
what people like. If people are playing online, if like they're really deep into like that VTT space, that's something they're looking for. And I think when the new backer kitted stuff comes out for Roll20 and Alchemy, we'll really see where the final grade would last, where that needs improvement mark is like they did it, or they need to go back to the drawing board. You know what I mean?
The only reason I want to I rebuttal a little bit and say why I'm giving them a bit higher is if you look at a lot of the VTTs that have really good automation for a lot of the systems like Pathfinder and stuff like that, it's not the company doing it, it's a third party fan. Very few of the actual companies are doing this right now. Free League has to a degree. Paizo's left it mostly up to the fans. Paizo basically hasn't touched it themselves, even though they have some of the best automation. It's the fans doing it. That's why I gave MCG such a high mark, because although in some cases, like Foundry, they rely on fans like Marco or maybe old Gus for the SRD and stuff like that, the fact that they are first party willing to go in and do some of these tools is actually special compared to a lot of these companies.
All right, so make that
If you would
CMB.
if you would have asked me this question 5 years ago, I would have been in Al's camp. But in current day model, I am definitely 100% with Qedhup. I think that they're A or S tier for the simple fact that they've made the effort on multiple fronts. They made the effort on the PDF front. They made the effort on offering free digital content. They made the effort on the VTT space. Like they hasn't in any of the digital, like all the digital mediums, they've put forth an effort where a lot of companies haven't. Some companies are either all in on a specific VTT or all in on a specific, digital content. MCG has tried their hand in all three of these categories. So I have to agree with Ken. I didn't think I was going to say that at the beginning of the show, but I have to agree with Ken up on this one.
Well, I have to change my point of view now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're running out of time because I think I'll have to go.
Yeah. I still stand by my grading, because again, and this is again, if I'm grading them personally, like they get an A or an S. Like me personally, they provide everything I personally need. But when I see the population, like the community talking about it, it reads as a C or a B because they're wanting those things.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I see that.
And believe it or not, the community does listen. I mean, the company does listen, and they do listen to what's actually being said on the CU. All three of us are witness to that. That we do know that whatever opinion you voice, they will hear it.
Most people in the server, I think, are pretty like they realize like they see like Sean or Kate or Charles or just like MCG just hanging out in the chat with you. Like you don't see a lot of other companies doing that. So they're listening to you. They see you.
See you, get it?
Oh, that's another thing too. They've jumped on board on digital communities. We didn't even touch on that. Like, Discord would be a big one. They're very active on our Discord. They're very active on the the Old Gods Discord. You gotta give them credit for that as well. Qedhup, before we even log off, I think we beat this dead horse. So, Qedhup, where can you be found on the interwebs, and do you have any final statement? First of all, thank you for the topic, because this was a great topic. I think we had a great chat. But where can you be found on the internet, and do you have any final, words about the topic?
Yeah, so you see my links in there. You can go to my Ko-fi if you want to drop a couple of bucks for this Canuck for what I do for my own streams or books I'm releasing or stuff like that. Void Home is my Cypher thing coming out soon, all that good stuff. And then if you want to see my other socials, my link tree is in there as well, which has all of my other links for the doobly-doo and all that stuff. As far as my final thoughts about digital, I think, and this is going to sound really weird, but I think to a degree we need to maybe be a little more Amish about this. Okay, obviously they're crackpots in their own right for every other thing, but one of their things is the fact that they're not afraid to adopt technology. They're afraid to adopt technology too quickly. A lot of Amish communities have a laptop and a cell phone. Now, I don't want to go to their extremism. I won't get into that, obviously. But I do agree that, like, it's okay to adopt digital tools and it's okay to, like, start using stuff like this. But we don't need to rush into things. We're advancing a little too quickly, and we are seeing downfalls in multiple industries because we're adopting things too quickly. So mellow it out a little bit. Calm down. Take a beat. And just play some fun games, and don't worry about if you have the right automation. Don't worry about if you've got the right digital tools at your table. Worry about the game first and have fun, and then we'll see what fun stuff we can pick up as we go along.
That's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, he pretty much nailed it. But that's made me think of a good topic for next time you come on. Are digital games, like online games, as enjoyable as in person? Do you think that it actually affects the GM? We could talk about that on the server afterwards, because sure. I think some people have opinions on that as well. They think they think they either run better online as a GM or they run better in person as a GM.
Mm-hmm.
I suck both ways, so it doesn't matter. But
fair, that's true.
So, but either way, I know people have opinions on that. Al, you have any final say on the digital before I move on to our spiel?
Nah, Qedhup hit it on the head. Like, that's perfectly summarized. Like, digital tools are nice, but don't make it your focus.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And my final say is, I think Aloof Poof put it the best. He said the verdict is in, the future is digital, so commence the book burning. That's hilarious. Just don't burn your books, though. Donate it to a local library. Some kid can pick it up and
now, I know what I said, but if you can find a way to plug me into the Matrix and we can role play that way, all up for it. Yeah.
If you like us and you like what we do, join the Cypher Unlimited Discord server for all things Monte Cook Games. We have the largest fan-run Discord for everything MCG. But if Discord's not for you, join our Facebook group. It's not as big as our Discord, but still great conversations being had there daily. If you find any kindness in your heart, give us a sub here on Twitch or go to YouTube and like, share, and subscribe there. We're still trying to build both platforms up, and any help you could give us in that direction would be greatly appreciated. Our videos and content is always free, but if you want to support us financially in any way, you could give us a little donation on Ko-fi. It helps us out with little things like running online conventions. Or go to our online store and pick up some cool Cypher Unlimited merch like the hoodie I got on or the hat I got on. And last but not least, we love you guys.
Yep, thank you guys so much for coming, chatting with us. Always a great conversation. Thank you, Qedhup, for coming and chatting and bringing up this conversation. This was a great topic. Definitely can see more people talking about this on the server, especially with Anthony's little follow-up question. But yeah, definitely a good one. So yeah, thank you so much, and thank you, Anthony, and have a great night, everybody. And from us at the CU, we will see you later.
Bye.